Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well. I don't even know what the time is. What is it? Oh, it's 10 o'clock. I look at the screen, you see, and the screen should rarely tell you. Like, that'll tell you how long you've got left. I looked at it and I went, go live now. Thought, fuck, I'm late. I'm late. They're going to kick off. But no, I'm here. I'm here. All in my glory. How is everyone? Who we got in? Let's check. And let's do a mod check. Evil CJ show in the house. Hello, my friend. I do keep trying to catch your lives, Mr. CJ, but the time, it's very difficult for me to get around when you're around. But we'll have to sort something out. We'll have to reach out and we'll try and do one together around this sort of time, because this sort of time works. So Evil CJ's in the house. We've got Superior Dreams. We've got Kristen. Hello, Kristen. We've got Jen, which is Plants Are My Jam. And who else? We're a bit early, aren't we? It takes a little while for people to get in the house. We've got Dixie. Hello, Dixie. The amazing Dixie. And who else? I think that might be about it for now, but I'm sure the others will turn up. Whoa, what has happened there? Clicked it, didn't I? Let's have a look. Caught alive. Yes, you have. I'm trying. What's going on with that chat? So we do a system check. Look. So here we are. This is it. Chat. Other chat. That's not doing anything at the minute. And that's about it. So, how is everyone? I hope you are genuinely all well. Mrs. Harsh is ill. She is actually ill and she has been in bed all day. So I do have to, I think, make a formal apology, not apology, to the royal family. Thank you very much, Gail, for the super sticker, sending us some positive vibes. Yeah, I have to apologise to King Charles, because for those of you who have been around, you'll know I went to the royal family's garden because they've got loads of lights there, so we went and had a walk around. I had some sausages there, some royal sausages, and I thought I got food poisoning because the following day I was dying. But then subsequently Hayden caught it, and then now Mrs. Harsh has caught it, and everyone. And I don't think you can catch food poisoning. Mind you probably can. That's probably wrong. But I think it's more likely a bug. But I don't bloody see anyone, so I don't even know where it would have come from. Genuinely don't know where it would have come from. Anyway, I've done some videos today. We touched on the Steve Gonsalves situation with this, was there another 911 call? And I'll do a video on that tomorrow. If you guys have reached out, you've hit me up with it, you've sent me the stuff I need, and I will do that. So we're not going to talk about it because we've got some other stuff to talk about. I want to firstly talk about... And I know that not everybody's got the stomach for these lives, so I will be talking about Shaun Dockery in a video tomorrow as well, because a lot of you have reached out and asked about what has been going on in the Shaun Dockery case. Some of you may not know who Shaun Dockery is, but I think it raises a massive question, and that's a question that I think we need to touch on, and that is how much we can trust law enforcement to actually do their goddamn job. You know, you have channels around this platform, you know, ex-law enforcement, and, you know, they stand by law enforcement. And look, I know there's some amazing law enforcement officers. There truly are some amazing people, males, females, who do a fantastic job. But the entirety of the system, is it trustworthy? Is it trustworthy? Have they always got the best intentions at heart? Do they always have what you need at the forefront of their mind to get the job done? And like I say, we're going to go back to the very, very start of the Idaho 4 case this evening, just to kind of touch on a couple of things that are a little bit eye-opener. When you read into them, it kind of shows you almost what their intention was from the start. And when you pair what their intention was, this was before they apparently even had a suspect, they kind of set up how it was going to go. But I'm going to dip into the comments and let's see what some of you have got to say. And then later on, what we're going to do is we're going to have an actual Q&A. So we're actually going to have a proper one where we have some people, you put a Q at the beginning, ask you a question, and then we're going to try and answer that question. Some of them can be on this topic. Some of them can basically be on anything. Just a Q&A together, probably half an hour Q&A, and we'll go from there. But let's have a chat. Who's in? Who's in now? Ken is in the house. Hello, Ken. And I see we've got My May as well, the amazing My May. What a day. What a day. I am also trying to sort some stuff out with Sienna as well. For those of you who have been around the channel, you'll know that is my eldest biological daughter. Yeah, I'll probably go through some stuff with the members to do with that, because her story's insanity. 1,000 July, is this thing on? This thing is on. Did you already give away the hoodie? No, I've given away some hoodies. I sent a hoodie out that I've now received back because we tried to send that out to Ken, and the Irish Hitlers sent it back to me. Didn't they, Ken? So I've got to resend that, try and get it back over to Ken. But we're going to be doing some more giveaways, and I've still got the giveaway to do from the video, which is next week. So we've got that, which we're going to be giving away $400 Roonies or pounder Roonies. I was only thinking about Shaun D the other day. Can't wait to listen to your update. Yes, I will be indeed doing a update on Shaun tomorrow. We will touch on that in a bit. For those of you who are here, I just know that not everyone, like I say, can stomach lives. They're not for everyone. They're not everyone's cup of tea. What do we got? Click on this TV. An entertainment press show. How is Bryan connected to Bryan Kohberger and Emma Bailey? Yes. What are you shipping with hoodies? I think that's what they thought. I think that was the main thing. You've got to be so careful what you're saying. It's ever since this Brexit situation, it's like everybody rightfully hates the stupid UK. So whenever we try and send anything to anyone, they're like, I don't think so. Pure attitude. No fine way that he killed himself. No. And I think that's the thing. Put a number 2 in chat if you are unfamiliar with the Shaun Dockery case. So a number 2 if you're unfamiliar with the case. As if there's enough people who are unfamiliar with it, then I will just touch briefly on what the story is actually about, and that will give you a better understanding of why we're talking about it. Hello, Kaylee. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to finally catch a live. I am starting to do more. You know, I had a bit of a break from doing, doing lives. We used to do them. There's a lot of people who are putting twos. Evil CJ as well. He's not heard of the Shaun Dockery case. So I think it's fair to say there are a lot of people who are unfamiliar with the Shaun Dockery case. So what I will do, let me just ping up a screen, because I think we should really make people familiar with this case, because I do have a playlist on Shaun Dockery, okay? So what I will say is, for all of you guys who are unfamiliar with this case, please do me a favour. When you've got some spare time, go and check out the playlist I've got. That's a very specific playlist That is a series of videos that are basically written by Shaun's mum, and they go through the actual process of what happened from start to sort of finish of the investigation, if you like. But yeah, it's one of them. So many people don't know about Shaun, but hold on, people. Yeah. What I will say is, before we talk about this case, there is a bit of a trigger warning to this. I know some people don't like using trigger warning, but I think it is very... It is a trigger thing. Do you know what I mean? This is not a good story. Let me just add something here, because that's bringing up multiple things. And I'm going to bring this up. I think this is probably the best one. So let's have a look at this, right? So in terms of Shaun Dockery, so this is a picture here of Shaun and his mum. And his mum is Ramona Rivas. Now, his mum and stepdad worked for the Pentagon. Let's just put that into context first. So he's got parents who worked for the Pentagon quite high up, and the dynamic of the family is dad is living away. Dad has nothing to do with it, by the way. So I know, first of all, people will think when you start hearing about it, you'll think family members. But no, it's not dad, and it's not stepdad either, and it's not mum. So the family like that, they're nothing to do with this. But what happens is this, and I'm gonna kind of try and make this, how can I say? I'm gonna simplify it for you. So, mum leaves the house and goes to take grandma to the doctors, and they're going to be gone for approximately 45 minutes. Now, during that period of time, Shaun is at the house with his younger brother. His younger brother, I believe, is around 3 years old, something like that, 3 or 4. And Shaun's older sister is not there. She's out. I think she's at school or doing an after-school thing. And what happens is this. So Shaun is really he always wants to be a babysitter for his little brother. He's a bit older than his time. This is a young lad who aspires to be president. That's what he wanted to be. That is what he always wanted to be. He was a very smart little boy, and that was what he always wanted to do. So he wants to look after his brother while mum and grandma go to the doctors, so they let him. But he's got a phone, they've got a phone, and they're not going to be very long, and they're not that far away. So while he's away, he's given some jobs to do. He's got some homework that he has to do, and they tell him to obviously get himself a bite to eat and also to put the rubbish out, put the bins out. So they go away, and what happens is the sister comes home before mum and grandma get back. She goes to the front door, but she can't get in. She's calling for Shaun. Nobody comes to the door. So she starts to call mum and says, "Is anybody here?" And mum goes, "Yeah, Shaun's there. Shaun's there with his brother." So she's still knocking on the door, can't get in. So she walks round to the back of the property. And when she walks round to the back of the property, she sadly finds Shaun in the garden. And Shaun is attached by the neck to a swing set in the garden. He has got a motorcycle bag over his head, and he is attached by a lace, almost like a bootlace. He is deceased, and his arms have been attached tightly down his sides using a belt. His shoes have been removed and thrown, but his feet are clean. So he didn't remove his shoes and walk anywhere because his feet are absolutely clean. So the shoes must have been taken off prior to or after being off the ground, so to speak. And so this is what you see. His glasses as well. He has glasses, as you can see, and his glasses were taken off and thrown away. So you've got this situation where sister finds him. This turns into utter chaos. The ambulance is obviously called. Paramedics turn up. The belt that's holding his arms down by his side is so tight that they cannot get it off. It's very, very tight. That's obviously taken off and so on and so forth. But obviously law enforcement get involved. Now, there's multiple things that happen around this case. There's the younger brother is found, and he is found in the house underneath a load of washing, dirty linen. It's chucked all over him. And when he wakes up, it's almost like he has been drugged. He's groggy. He's a bit sleepy, which they find that unusual. And the younger brother, makes it sound like Shaun had somebody come to the house. There was somebody who knew Shaun in the house during this period of time, and would allude to the fact there was potentially fighting or chasing, or, something was happening there. In addition to that, Shaun had done his homework. That had been done. It had been submitted. He had also started to put the bins out. They had been removed from their cases, if you like, and the bags had been put ready to take out. And he had started to make himself some food. I believe, off the top of my head, I believe it was a peach, a piece of fruit, and that was left on the side in the kitchen, untouched. This was deemed to be self-inflicted. They tried to say that Shaun was suffering from bullying because a few months previous to when this happened, there had been some form of situation surrounding some girls, I believe, who'd taken the piss, but I think the parents were more pissed off about it than what Shaun was. He'd obviously told them about it, and parents being parents, they'd got involved, said, look, and the rest is history. But he never showed any issues to his parents that this was ongoing, or showed any distress. Now, don't get me wrong, he could have hidden it, that's quite possible, but this was put down as him doing it to himself. And what has transpired after that is a long line of real odd things. Law enforcement not doing what they should be doing. And you'll learn some more about this in the video tomorrow, kind of what will bring us up to date with the case. I feel it's important to bring it out, and like I say, if you've got some spare time, again, go check my playlist out. It's the Shaun Dockery playlist, and like I say, I've spoken with the family directly, and this is his mum's words. I'm reading what his mum has specifically written about all different elements of the investigation, and little things that weren't done right, and what things were found at the house, and all these little things. Two things to just bring up is the fact that Shaun had also been dressed in his stepfather's clothes. So when they went into the house and looked, his own clothes had been removed and left in the parents' bedroom, and he was dressed in his stepfather's clothes. So yes, let me know what you think about that. Let's go into the comments. So if this is the first time you're hearing this, what do you think? What do you think to that? And let's get this chat moving. That is so absolutely wrong. There is no way that it's possible. It's so disturbing. I feel LR is involved of some sort. Again, you've got to think his parents were, quite high up in the Pentagon as well. Elbow's mum, absolutely 100% no way this was self-inflicted. The cord used being from the crash helmet protective bags from his own garage. I think this was an unplanned crime of opportunity by that gardener. And I think if a lot of people feel the same thing, that's a big deal. The timing of this was around somebody looking to get elected as like a mayor or something in the area as well. Dope Soul. There was another case close by of another child they deemed S2. Law enforcement won't release reports. It's so sad. And Dope, you will see tomorrow. And hello, Dope, by the way. Dope, admin lead. That reminds me of something I've got to do, actually, before I forget. Let me just... Can I do it here? I'm just going to change that. I'm just going to remove it and then add it as moderator. Managing moderator. There we go. Is now a managing moderator. Dope Soul has just been made a managing moderator on the channel. Congratulations. Congratulations. Aunt B, this case is so incredibly sad. It is. And I know, Aunt B, you will know some of the information that I'm going to go over tomorrow as well, because I know you are part of Shaun's online community, as am I. What do we got? I thought Shaun's... Yes, Gwen Mackey. Hey, Harsh, finally getting alive. Always thought that Shaun's case was murder. Yeah. And I think this has been a major thought of the family. And the sad thing as well is there has been a petition to get it reopened for some time. They just haven't managed to get the numbers they need. But if you, again, in the videos that I've done for Shaun, in the description of said videos, there is a link to the petition to get it re-looked into. David Singer, hi, from Yorkshire. Harsh, love your videos. Hello, my friend. Yorkshire, lovely part of the country. Very much like mine. Why make a big deal? I was going to put like, look, I could do this, though. Let me have a look. I think I've got something I can do here. Can I do this? Where's that gone? Oh, look. You shouldn't have said that, though, because I can do this now, look. Let's give her a round of applause. Anyway, enough of that. That isn't even with the audio interface. I've got the audio interface coming back, but I found out that you can actually do it on here as well. Well done on the promotion. That's it. What do we got? Where did this happen, please? Is it Yorktown? Yeah, where we got it? Yorktown, VA. I'll probably pick the worst one to look at. Let me have a look at that. No, that's the wrong one. Arlington, Yorktown, VA. I'm just trying to... Oh, my God, what was it doing now? Trying to get... You know when you try and click on stuff that... and you try and make it work, and it brings up loads and loads of rubbish. Oh, my God. It's like, do you want to have cookies? Do you want this? Do you want that? Oh, my God. You got to... Like it says that you can either have cookies or not, but if you don't accept market and everything, you can't actually get on here. York County. There we go. And look, the family was, if I go through here, look, on April 14th, a 12-year-old York County boy was found hanging from a swing set in his backyard. Shaun Dockery's death was ruled a suicide. But recently, after being frustrated by what they say are unanswered questions, the family launched a social media campaign and wants the case reopened, which it's still not. The family's campaign prompted the York Pequoson Sheriff's Office to respond last week, saying the death was fully investigated. There you go. They believe it was fully investigated. We take these matters very seriously, evaluate all evidence, and consider all possibilities, Marsh. Ron Montgomery said in a videotape statement posted on the officer's Facebook page. Much of the information being posted to this social media site is opinion, innuendo, and fabrication, which is not consistent with the evidence that was collected by the Sheriff's Office investigators during this investigation. But, however, you can't look at any of it because it's all fucking hidden. You can't even do a Freedom of Information Act request on this case. Even though it's closed, case closed, nothing. Even the family's Freedom of Information request has been turned down. How about that, then? Why is it, whenever there's a case where you think to yourself, do you know what? This sounds odd. This case don't sit right? And you do it. Do you know what I mean? You see these cases. And just to top it off, you then can't do a Freedom of Information Act request on them. There you go. Exactly that. Like Kurt Cobain's was fully investigated. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But, how can they deny that? There you go. You tell me. You tell me how they can. How can they turn it down from the family? Again, I'll touch on it tomorrow. I'll tell you. I'll tell you more tomorrow. But it is. It's nuts. Jessie, and I had to go look up. Had forgotten her name. Ellen Greenberg. That's a real interesting one. Ask Reality Crazy. That name rings a bell. That name rings a bell. They work for the government. They do. They work for the Pentagon. Anyway, yeah, no Freedom of Information Act, all denied. Yep, every single thing. Every single thing. Even they apparently were getting the FBI involved, right? Because they were going to do an evaluation on, like a behavioural evaluation. And they were going to go through Shaun's phone, all of the communication, everything, and have it analysed to see whether he was hiding things. Do you know what I mean? And they were supposed to have drummed up a report from all this, and they were going to give it to the family. They kept saying, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And then they turned around and went, actually, we're not going to give you the report. We're not going to give you it, but we're going to tell you about it. So we'll have a meeting, and we'll have a sit down, and we'll tell you what was in the report. We're not going to show you it, but we're going to tell you. Fucking joke. You have to, do you know what I mean? It's not, it pisses me off. Pisses me off. Off topic, but I love how you promote the brilliant guys from AWP. Josh and Doug didn't deserve this. No. The situation with Josh is bad. It is bad. I must say. Yes, it is quite bad. USA is such a corrupt shithole. What you've said there, I'll tell you what it is the entire fucking planet is a corrupt shithole. It's not just the USA, it's everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. The downside is America is what everybody looks at. All the eyes are on America. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is. All the eyes look up to America. So you cop a lot of the flack. It's like our country. Our country wants to be America. That's we're like a fucking lapdog. Do you know what I mean? It's like almost we're running behind America like a panted dog, wanting to hump your fucking leg. But anyway. All right, let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. And like I say, we'll touch back on that tomorrow, because again, I just want people to understand about that case. And again, ask yourself, with things like that, do you know what I mean? With things like that case of Shaun, he's not the only case. Do you know what I mean? For some of you who have been here for a while, you've been through some cases with me, like the Kylie Rodney situation, like the Summer Wells situation, like the Michael Vaughan case. What in the blue fuck is going on with the Michael Vaughan case now? What is going on with that case? How is it even possible to be that much of a mess? And, you know, I know we've got people in the chat, especially the likes of Dope, who has done hours upon hours. Dope, our moderating manager, following on from her earlier promotion this evening, she's probably done more investigating in that case than law enforcement has. And I shit you not. And yeah, it's just don't get it. Just don't understand that case. And again, law enforcement. You know, it seems to me that if the case is complex, then there's going to be an issue. You can pretty much bet your bollocks for a barn dance. There's going to be an issue with it, and at the end of it, you're going to be scratching your head on how they ever come to that conclusion, and then you're not even going to be able to see any paperwork on it because they're just not going to show you. And if they do give you it, that's likely to be doctored anyway, as we saw in the recent body cam footage from the debacle over in Washington when SWAT swatted Bryan Kohberger. George Floyd was on video for all of us to see. Yeah, could you imagine how that would have been pushed out to the public had it not been, however? I just heard about Michael Vaughan recently. Yeah. I can't even really get into the Michael Vaughan case because the Michael Vaughan case is one that really does piss me off. And usually when I start talking about the Michael Vaughan case, it leads to me being in trouble. And, yeah. Least we say about that, the better. But it's bad. Happens a lot in the true crime community. The people do more digging than the ones taxpayers pay the public servants to do. That's exactly right. Hello from a car wash in Laguna. Hello. I hope it's a good car wash. I hope you come out of there nice and shiny. I didn't leave my son alone. Nope. Good. And so you shouldn't. They won't give the parents back her phone. Something of value must be on it. I think my mouth is out. Is my mouth, like, out of sync? Kay Miller is smashed it out with 20 gifted Harsh Reality memberships. Thank you so much, Kay Miller. That is very, very kind of you. I have found out that I can't do it, by the way. I can't do it on this channel. The only way I can do it is I can use Mrs. Harsh's phone. So next time I do a live and she is able to be approached when she's feeling better, I will do it. But no, thank you very much, Kay Miller, for gifting some memberships. Like I say, that is incredibly kind to do so. And what do we got? Him in some way. Let me go back here. What do we got? So, we said we'd go back to the start a bit and just talk about a couple of things in the Moscow, Idaho case. Because I found myself reading it because I've been basically bored and not really having anything to do. And I don't really have a life. So, my life kind of revolves around crime. How do I get me one of these memberships? It's just completely random tech. Basically, someone gifts them. They say how many they want to gift, and it just goes. It just goes out randomly. Yeah, smash the like. I don't know how many people are in here. Haven't got a clue. But if you hit the like button, it does help. Don't worry about money and all that sort of shit. We don't do all that over here. But we do like likes. We do like likes. We do like shares and all that stuff. You can do it on here. You have pull it up on YouTube, not streaming software. I've got it on the screen, Cluminati. It won't give me the option to do it. And I spoke to one of the YouTube people today. I speak to them. I know some people who work there, and they said you can't do it on your own channel, but I can do it through a secondary account, which I will, but I can't today because she's really ill. But yeah, anyway, what am I talking about? I was talking about going back to the start of the Idaho 4 case and just reading some of the stuff that came out, some of the news reports. And this came to my attention, this one here. And it was Colonel Kendrick Wills, director of the Idaho State Police in the small northern Idaho city of Moscow, had a simple message. We know that people want answers. We want answers too, he said in a recent press conference. This was back in November, by the way, 22nd of November. A manhunt has now been underway for more than a week in this remote college town where a still unidentified suspect stabbed 4 University of Idaho students to death in the early morning hours of 13th of November. The victims of the quadruple homicide, Ethan Chapin, 20, Kaylee Gonsalves, 21, Xana Canodal, 20, and Madison Mogan, 21, were killed as they slept. So remember, this is early doors. So they're reporting out that this happened as they slept in an off-campus house on King Road, located near the university's sorority and fraternity houses. A motive and the identity of who did the appalling crime remain unknown. When Wills made his appeal before the television cameras, he was not just speaking for the traumatized university community or the terrified college town that surrounds it. He was speaking for his state and wider American public, which has watched in horror, as more grim details of the gruesome slangs have come to light, except for the most crucial ones of all, why this happened and who did it. There are a few clues. In the hours before their murder, Mogan and Gonsalves were at a downtown Moscow bar called the Corner Club between 10 and 1:30 a.m. Then visited a late-night food truck. A video of the two close friends who attended high school together and both worked at the local Greek restaurant shows them ordering pasta with no signs of apparent distress. At approximately 1:40 a.m. Mogan and Gonsalves received a ride home from a private party. A person detectives have investigated and currently do not suspect had anything to do with the pair's homicide. So, don't think they've got anything to do with it. During the same time frame, Chapin and Canodal were at a party at Sigma Chi, a fraternity house on the University of Idaho campus, until approximately 1:45, when they returned to the King Road house. Canodal, Mogan, and Gonsalves were roommates. Chapin did not live in the house, but appeared to be staying for the night. All of the victims were members of the University of Idaho sorority or fraternity. Their bodies were found on the second and third floors of the house. They got stabbed. We got the call. I don't want people to make assumptions about our kids. It wasn't drugs. It was definitely not some passion thing between the kids. Someone entered the house, Stacey Chapin told the Idaho Statesman 4 days after her son's body was discovered. So the first statement, or one of the first statements you hear, I hadn't even seen this, was Stacey Chapin coming out and basically saying, they got stabbed, we got the call, I don't want people to make assumptions about our kids. So in what world would your thought as a parent when to come out and say this? It wasn't drugs, and it definitely wasn't some passion thing between these kids. One thing I will say is that at this stage, how would you know it weren't some passion thing? How would you know that there weren't some issue between a relationship issue? But anyway, I digress. Carrying on. Authorities estimated the time of the murders was between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. 2 additional unidentified roommates were asleep during the attack. So what's changed since then? So we know that it's now not between 3 and 4 a.m. It's actually more like 4:15 to 4:18, so to speak, around 4:12. We're trying to not factor in some of the things like Xana being on or apparently being on TikTok. And obviously we've got the car being seen still parking up at 4 minutes past 4 and so on and so forth. But definitely after 4, before 4:20, that's the time frame that they're pushing as when the crime happened, because they need that time. They need that time to be the time, because that's the time when Bryan Kohberger's, or apparently Bryan Kohberger's, car is there. Now, I want you to think of something there, because we sit on the fence, don't we? We sit on the fence and say Bryan might be guilty, he might not be. I don't think there's enough evidence out there to say he did it without thinking he might not have. But the thing what I do have in the back of my mind is a statement that Ann Taylor said, and she'd turned around and said Bryan wasn't in the area at the time of the crime. She didn't say he wasn't in the area. She just said he wasn't in the area at the time of the crime. And I was thinking to myself, do you know what? Bryan Kohberger, if he is guilty, he would know if they've fucked up. He would know beyond a reasonable doubt that they've screwed up, because he would know where they've screwed up. And this time situation, this time frame, sits uncomfortable with me. Because if they have done something, and they've done something to try and make this crime look in a way that it genuinely isn't, then that could come and bite them in the arse. But anyway, so earlier on they were reporting the murders between 3 and 4. 2 additional unidentified roommates were asleep during the attack, according to the Moscow police. They reportedly were out until 1 a.m. and then slept until the midday hours the next day. So they were out until 1 a.m. and they didn't even go for a piss for about 11 hours. I'll tell you what, I wish my bladder could do that nowadays. Yeah. They'd have been found about 20 minutes after he left. But yeah, so reportedly are out until 1 a.m. and then slept until the midday hours the next day. Just let that resonate. Let that resonate with you. And the first thing they did when they woke up was ring mates. A cell phone belonging to one of the surviving roommates was used to place the initial 911 call. Police announced that detectives were recently made aware of multiple phone calls from Mogan and Gonsalves to a male. That man, who remains unidentified by police, has been ruled out as a potential suspect. So already, think about this. So already, even at this stage, and again, we're saying that this was reported on the 22nd of November. They have already ruled Jack out. Now, I'm not saying Jack's done anything. I'm not saying he's done anything. But what I'm wondering is, how do you rule Jack out? How do you rule Jack out that quickly? Now, unless law enforcement had already been tipped off who did this, and it was then just a case of trying to reverse engineer this case, make this fit and make, fit all the pieces together, then how do they rule Jack out? Because surely, from what we've learned, his alibi could have only been other people who were likely to have been just as sketchy as he was. His mates. That's like, did you do this crime? No. How do we know? I was with Dave. And Dave will vouch for you. Yeah, he'll vouch for me. How does that work? I don't get it. With you being in your early 20s, how are you already having bladder problems at night? Now, what I'm going to say, Mr. Elliott, is thank you very much for believing that I am in my early 20s. I actually have an 18-year-old daughter. I'm 43. But thank you. I obviously look good for it. So yeah. So what do we got? Tipped off. How? Right. Not his vehicle description. No way. Yeah, so this is what I don't get. I don't understand how Jack could have been cleared that quick. Tell me how, I don't get it. Right, what do we got? Where are we? Yeah, ruled out as a potential suspect. The Latah County coroner's autopsy report showed no signs of sexual assault, While there was a lot of blood, the Latah County Coroner Kathy Mabbitt told the Spokane, Washington station. I know that there's some arguments over how that is said. I know it's not Spokane. I know the locals around that area, Spokane, Washington. So don't look. You know what I'm like with pronouncing stuff. Station Creme last Tuesday. It was a very sad scene. In her report, Mabbitt concluded the 4 victims were probably asleep when they were stabbed multiple times, and some of them had defensive wounds. It's unclear how the attacker got into the home or what kind of knife was used in the stabbings. Police searched dumpsters around King Road for evidence, but uncovered nothing of value. And when they did find something of value, they looked like they were throwing it back in the bushes because it was easier to do that than process it. No weapon has been found, nor has any clothing worn by the suspect thus far been located, unless he wore that coat that we clearly saw them pick up and then throw back in the fucking bushes. Thank you so much, Cluminati. Thank you very much. That's very kind. And I see Kay Miller has also gifted more memberships. Thank you so much. Yeah, so where are we so far? It's unclear how the attack right. Based on details at the scene, we believe that this was an isolated, targeted attack on our victims, said the Moscow Captain James Fry. In the days following the murders, we do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there. We cannot say that there is no threat to the community, and, as we have stated, please stay vigilant, report any suspicious activity, and be aware of your surroundings. So, this here contradicts us thinking that they already have a suspect, and that's how they can turn around and say the likes of Jack, for instance, are nothing to do with it. So you do, and we have seen people question this. Did they just lie to the public? And maybe they do. Do you know what I mean? Maybe they just lie. On Sunday night, Fry declined to provide an explanation as to why police think this was a targeted attack or which of the roommates they think was the primary target. He did also not offer details about a possible location of the murderer. We can't say if the person is here, Fry said. As a result of the uncertainty surrounding the unsolved homicide, Moscow police have been working with the Idaho State Police and the FBI to process more than 600 tips and canvass homes and businesses. Yet we know there was houses around here that they did not go and question. Well, I say we know. We've heard people who have come out and said they weren't spoken to. We do know that that could also be a load of shit. Classes were cancelled the day after the students' bodies were found. Latah County Sheriff's Deputy Scott I'm not even going to attempt to say that. Mikolasik said he saw students and neighbours of the deceased getting out of Dodge and leaving Moscow a week before the university's Thanksgiving break up again. This is what I wanted to show you. I think it's here. Is it here? No, it's not that one. This is the one, look. So this here, this is what I was talking about. Look, Moscow's small police force, which hadn't had a murder for more than 7 years, is at the centre of the race to find a killer or killers. It's hard to tell when or if this town will ever be the same, Robbie Johnson's, the force's public information officer, says. So you think the pressure is already mounting at this stage. You know, they are... I think is it at the top here? Let me just read something. No suspect. It says 4 weeks, blah, blah, blah. Desperate for answers. Hold on. I think it's down here. 4 weeks on, no known witnesses have come forward. There is no named suspect, no murder weapon, and no obvious motive. It's here. We can't afford to make a mistake. So even at this stage, right, this statement here, we can't afford to make a mistake. Like, I read into that. What do they mean by I can't afford to, or we can't afford to make a mistake? That's a given, isn't it? You know, your job at this stage is to find out who did this. Advocate for truth, thank you very much. That is very kind. And again, guys, you don't have to do the super chats. They're massively appreciated. obviously, but don't think that you have to do that. It's nice that you guys are here. You're actually here, you're watching, and you are part of this community. Yeah, that is right. We're going to come to that. No red rums in years, but a fuck ton of suicides. Ain't that the truth? Thank you, Stacey M, for the super sticker. It's... Anyway, yeah, so we can't afford to make a mistake. There are signs that the community and grief-stricken parents of the victims are growing frustrated with what they perceive as a lack of progress by police, even as reinforcements from the FBI and Idaho State Police have arrived. The decision to withhold certain information or lines of investigation from the public is deliberate, Miss Johnson tells Sky News. We don't just want an arrest, we want to take it to court, she adds. We need to be sure we are going through all the evidence, and it is vast. There are pictures, emails, phone calls coming in. We can't afford a mistake or to put out information that might compromise the investigation. So this then makes you think that back when this was reported, they had a suspect, which this was 15th of December. So we know at this stage they did. So they were purposefully putting information out to the public at this stage that was false. Police have consistently stated their belief that either the house or its occupants were targeted, but they haven't revealed why they believe that. So again, this does sort of make you feel that there is a potential that in amongst the evidence there will be written evidence. There will be some form of digital information. Now, some people have turned around and said, look, this crime is going to be solved through digital evidence. There's going to be a digital footprint that's going to fire this away. But then Ann Taylor turns around and said that there is no connection. And 10 requests for discovery. Internet sleuths have poured over the layout of the building. The ground floor, with its sliding patio doors, is where Xana and Ethan, a couple since the spring who were said to be perfect for each other, were slaughtered. In one of the bedrooms upstairs, lifelong friends, Kaylee and Maddie, were also sharing a bed when they were murdered. In the early hours, they had been repeatedly texting Kaylee's former boyfriend, with whom she was still close, and police have discounted as a suspect. One of the most puzzling aspects of the case is that two other... Thank you very much, Doug. Here's to you, brother. Thank you very much, my friend. One of the most puzzling aspects of the game... one of the most puzzling aspects of the case is that two other female housemates, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, who were in basement-level bedrooms, survived. They say they slept through the attacks and they woke. They summoned other friends to the house, believing one of the housemates to be unconscious. And this here is where this is where it all goes completely fucking tits up, isn't it? At this point, this is where everything goes wrong. Because you just think, well, how, even that statement, believe one of them to be unconscious, how do you think they're unconscious? What makes you think they're unconscious? What makes you think they're unconscious? Someone please, in the chat, whether you're a Bryan Kohberger did this, or a Bryan Kohberger didn't do this, please tell me how that statement there makes any sense whatsoever. Tell me. There's people in here who are a lot smarter than what I am, and maybe you can explain that. So that's a question out. Please tell me. This is the challenge for the next couple of minutes. Make that statement there. The law enforcement weren't called. Friends were called over to the property because they believed that one of the housemates was unconscious. They're going to get you, Maddie. He could... Right. And we've got loads of stuff. But look, let's tackle one thing at a time. So look, this bit here. One of the housemates to be unconscious. An unconscious call doesn't have to be released. It is said quiet code for dead is unconscious. Yeah, they have. This is a valid point. This is a valid point, but remember, we're not talking about law enforcement here. This is trying to explain why they called friends and didn't call 911. So this is reporting on the fact that the roommates contacted friends to come over because they couldn't get, obviously, whether they tried to ring or text and didn't get no answering. This is the point that I'm trying to make. Thank you very much, Robin. Thank you very much for the super chat. Love our Harsh Reality family. I know the quiet code for deceased is unconscious because they can't, basically a legal profession in that field can't say that someone's deceased. It has to be done the proper way. Obviously, a doctor has to come and say, yeah, that's it, and call that. But what I'm saying, this statement alone isn't about law enforcement or the operator. This is about this is Dylan Mortensen trying to explain why friends were called over. And they were called over because of what? Why were friends called over? That's what I'm trying to ascertain. That's what I'm trying to see whether you guys can explain. Why were friends called over? Because if they've come in at 1 a.m. and they've been asleep, like, let's forget everything else. Let's forget the fact that they reckon that they were texting while this was going on, that she saw somebody. Imagine all that doesn't even exist, and it doesn't exist. And the only reason that she's actually a witness now is because they needed one. So this is early doors, and this is just what happened. So they literally went to sleep. They were asleep from 1 o'clock when they come in, whatever, just after 1, and woke up 11, 10 hours later. What's the first thing that you're going to do when you wake up? You've been out on a drink. You've been asleep for 10 hours. What's the first thing that you're going to want to do when you wake up? And what happens? Does she get up and walk to the toilet? The toilet, Dylan Mortensen gets up and goes to the toilet. The toilet is right outside the door of Ethan and Xana's room. Right outside the door. They wanted to clean the house. Happy holidays, Harsh. Thank you very much for the super chat, Charlie. And yeah, do you know what I mean? It's one of those where I can't, and I'm not trying to be stupid. I'm not trying to be argumentative. I can't work this out. I can't work out what would have happened when they woke up to then make them feel the need to call people over. You know, if they've woke up and seen something, then why would they still not call 911? How are they both sleeping yet she's seen a man clad in black and yelled at him? And do you know what? Then thank you, Criminal Care Bear, for the super chat. Yeah, it's one of those. That doesn't make sense. Just before midday, one of the friends called police who discovered the true horror of what had happened. Police have discounted Dylan, Bethany, and the friends who arrived that morning as suspects. How do you do that? How do you do that? Bearing in mind that these are all students. These are all students. All of them. Whole lot. All of them are students. So how can students vouch for their friends? How is that enough to say you weren't involved? You didn't do nothing. You had nothing to do with it. So who's going to vouch for you then? Oh, my fraternity brother, sorority sister. That's who's going to vouch for me. They'll definitely be telling the truth as well. I just can't work it out. I cannot work it out. A convict's thoughts. I didn't see that he was in chat. Let's have a look. Where is he? Again, if you haven't seen a convict's thoughts, do go and check him out. I've been neglecting chat, haven't I? Been neglecting chat. Let's catch up. So we have some questions based on just, like I say, just dipping back and listening to that. Let's have some questions. I've got one here. Question: the latent shoe print outside of Dylan's door. Why was this not smeared after the alleged attempt of a clean-up? Also, how in the bloody hell did Payne know it was from a Vans shoe? I don't suspect that was actually cleaned up. I believe that it was just a print. I reckon that someone had walked in something and they had probably cleaned up elsewhere and thought that they'd cleaned it, and that was just a print. And the amino black, whatever they use, it attaches itself to specific proteins. So the print would be invisible to the naked eye. You're right. If they'd have actually scrubbed it while it was blood, would there in effect have been a print there? Or did they find a shoe with blood on it and they've kind of matched it up? I'm not 100% sure. But you'd be surprised. This doesn't necessarily mean that that part was actually cleaned up. It might have stood in something. They thought they cleaned it, and that didn't actually leave a print that was visible to the eye. 1,000 viewers, 500 likes. Make sure to hit that like button. Yes, look. Come on. 50% freeloaders. That'll get me about 10 fucking dislikes. I've got 5 dislikes. We're doing well tonight. We're doing well. We've got less than we normal. And that doesn't mean that you can just go and smack the dislike for fun. Right, come on, some questions. Get some questions. Put Q, and then put your question. And between myself and the rest of the clever bunch, we should be able to find an answer. To get an answer, can't we? Can judge dismiss the charges if the FBI will not provide evidence? That's something that I'm not completely familiar with in terms of your judicial system and how you would work. I would believe that the judge, under the right circumstances, has the power to dismiss the charges. But there would obviously have to be a complete and utter catastrophic fail. And could I see that happening at this stage? No, I can't. I think that we're too far down the line for that to happen now. Did you get my email? Don't know. I may have done. I don't do emails at weekends, sadly. There is just too many. So I do emails Monday to Friday. So I'll be having a look tomorrow. Who verified that Jack D's alibi was sleeping, and how was it proved? He could have easily climbed out his window. Again, in terms of the alibi, we don't have information on the alibi. And Steve Gonsalves has even alluded to the fact that he has not even been given the alibis. Not even Jack's alibi. And that is potentially what fueled his flame, if you like, to check Jack over himself, because the police just wouldn't give him it. But in terms of alibis, it would seem that even the alibis are gagged. Do they have any proof to show that Dylan was on the second floor versus the first floor? Again, this is going to have to be something that is brought up in court. I've seen nothing. There's obviously a lot of questions as to where was she? Was she up in the second floor? Was she on the bottom floor? The ground floor? Is Bryan just a patsy? I thought for a long time that Bryan was either involved and someone helped him, or he was not involved at all. My thoughts and feelings changed to the point where, can you rule Bryan out 100%? I don't think he can be ruled out 100%. I think that would be foolish too, because we know that there is evidence that's being shown. We just need more. We need a lot more. But there's certainly things that look suspect. At the end of the day, even though I talk about the way that we have been conditioned to believe certain things, there are certain things that still have to be explained. And if they can't be explained, then you have to consider his involvement. But could he be a patsy? He could be an unfortunate patsy, 100%. He could. You can't. I don't think anybody who was being right and proper could, and all these people who are like ex-law enforcement say this is a slam dunk, that's definitely him, and we're an idiot. I think that it would be very wrong to consider that he could have just found himself in a situation where he was just a weirdo driving around. He was weird driving around at night. Police cottoned on to the fact that this was it. He had no witnesses, and they got their guy. It seems to me, whatever you read, this was all about putting this case to bed as quickly as they physically could. They needed it over with. They needed it done. They needed a conclusion. And that's it. So in answer to your question, could he be a patsy? I believe he could be. He could be. Why? That's not an easy one to answer. Let me go and have a look what other questions we've got. Every time I take my finger off the mouse, it jumps, so I don't see it. Is there any evidence there was an altercation with Xana and Ethan other than 4chan? There is. Some of the parents have actually spoken about it. Xana's mum has spoken about it. She has spoken about the fight and the fact that Xana's stepdad, was it, who was actually thinking about driving over here to it might have been a biological father, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were going to come over, but they changed their mind. They didn't. I don't know whether he'd been drinking and he couldn't, but yeah, in answer to your question, the fight, the argument, that has been confirmed as something that happened by at least one of the parents. If BK told Ann Taylor that Bethany has exculpatory evidence, then BK and Bethany would know each other, or Bethany knows BK at least, correct? I've always pondered this, and maybe there can be some people in chat who can help with this question. Let's not forget that it wasn't Bryan Kohberger who stated that Bethany Funk had exculpatory evidence. There seems to be a bit of confusion here, because people would think Bryan Kohberger must know something. He must know what's going on. But it wasn't. They got an investigator to investigate, and that investigation led to them believing that Bethany Funk had exculpatory evidence. So it wasn't Bryan Kohberger who brought up information, from my understanding of it. It was actually through somebody who was working on behalf of Ann Taylor, who their investigation led to information. So I'm guessing they cottoned on to, I don't know whether they saw some other documentation, or something else being written, or maybe they saw some online post, and who knows, we don't know, but obviously something was said or something was seen that Bethany Funk had said, and they took that as, I would imagine, they took it that it basically contradicted what Dylan Mortensen had said. I don't know. Did Moscow PD question fraternity across the street? I would believe so. Obviously, we don't know who they questioned and who they didn't question, but I would believe they've got to, surely. They've got to. Ethan and Xana offed by frat brothers. Kaylee and Maddie offed by drug cartel. I think that's a bit over complex, that. Personally, I don't think, my personal take, and again, I'm not saying I'm right, I don't see this as being a narcotic situation. I don't see it as being like a cartel hit. Not saying it can be definitely ruled out. I just don't think that's what's going on here. This had a really personal touch. This didn't look like some sort of, this. Yeah, it's a hard one, but I don't see this being cartel. They'd have gone in there with a gun and just shot everyone. TNT Lana thought maybe Dylan Mortensen had already moved into Kaylee's room. What do you think? Well, obviously, there was the other room in there that had already been let out and paid for by, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but there was another roommate who just wasn't there. Ashlyn, was it? So one of the rooms already had someone else in it. So we do have somebody who was paying to be at that property who was not staying there. Unfiltered Lucky keeps saying Dylan had invited Kaylee back for her +1 to a sorority event that weekend. Has anyone confirmed this? Nobody has confirmed that. The official narrative on Kaylee coming back was to show off the car. Yeah, he repeats himself over and over. I do, because this is unscripted. It's absolutely unscripted. We should get you up here, Judy. Listen to you do it, mate. Especially when you get to my age, my brain ain't what it used to be. But yeah, anyway, back to Leslie. Yeah, has anyone confirmed it? Yeah, as far as we know, the official narrative was that she was over to show off the car. She was over to show off the car, the Range Rover Evoque, which I now don't have because they're shit. If BK told Ann Taylor Bethany has exclusive, right? Yeah, we've looked at that. I think that's jumping back over there. What have we got? Did you notice on day one drone pictures of Kaylee Gonsalves' bed blankets thrown back? I didn't. I have obviously seen when they were taking some of the stuff out, and obviously all of the bed stuff, but I didn't see that. Why did Maddie and Kaylee's phone both stop at 2:52 a.m. then a scream saying stop at 2:55? Seems very suspicious. I've not heard that audio. All of the footage at Linda Lane, we have a missing 49 seconds starting at 4 a.m. Why? We have a missing 49 seconds starting at 3 a.m. So what, does the clock freeze for 49 seconds or it starts at 3 a.m.? When you say starting 3 a.m., there's a missing 49 seconds. What do you mean? Is the screen blank? There's obviously... There's many reasons why you're missing. That's that either weren't recorded or there was something on it that someone didn't want you to see. And how did law enforcement prove Dylan Mortensen isn't involved? Again, this has always been a question to me. This has always been a question. How can you rule some of these people out when they're in the property? It's not like we've never seen crimes where these students murder one another or a fight breaks out and it turns into something. Drink. The PCA says later the sheath was discovered. Will the sheath be shown in evidence pics or body cams? You would hope that they would have body cams, wouldn't you? You would hope. But the funny thing is, there has been an acute lack of video evidence in this. Obviously, there was no video evidence that we've been made aware of Bryan's arrest. We know that he was interviewed, was it twice? Once by the FBI, once by MPD, and neither of those interviews were recorded either orderly or visually. So, yeah, in terms of the sheath, you would hope, bearing in mind the gravity of this crime, that they will have full and unedited body cam footage, but something tells me it just ain't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. Losing my voice. Have you seen Huda, who shows all the suspicious behaviour at Grub Truck? She's convinced numerous students that are responsible for the brutal murders. Now, in terms of Huda London, some things I can get on board with Huda, some things I can't. In terms of she's convinced numerous students are responsible for the brutal murders, that is something that I can certainly get on board with. But the downside is some of the things that Huda has mentioned are so far left that it kind of, it's completely off. Who deleted Xana's Venmo and what? I don't know, because the Venmo payments early on, I can only suggest that law enforcement deleted them accounts. That's my thought, because early on there was some screenshots that come out of obviously Venmo payments being made. Now, I imagine there's a potential that they were faked, they were forged, but if they weren't, then they could have had something to do with it. And law enforcement have wiped the accounts, have taken them down. Why did the PCA place the timeline around roommates' recollection of events versus forensics? That's obviously got to be something that comes out in court. 100%. They've got to explain that. That's a very good question. That is a very good question, and like I say, it is something. Miss Kelly, if anyone can find it, figure out it's AT. You would hope. I think Ann Taylor. I've had my doubts about Ann Taylor, but she's definitely good at a job. She's very, very good at a job. I just hope that she 100% is on Bryan Kohberger's side. 100%. And I hope that it's a difficult one, isn't it? I try and put myself in Ann Taylor's shoes, and I think to myself, look, if you think Bryan Kohberger is innocent, if he is innocent, I believe that she would do everything in her power to help him. If he's guilty, would she still do the same? Or would she just give the impression she's helping? But then you could argue that's what you want of her. Is Linda Lane important? Is Linda Lane important? In one way it's important, in one way it's not. And I know that's being a bit vague. I think it's important because it shows certain people being in the area. It shows certain cars coming and going. We also know that it ties in with some of the non-forged audio. But what isn't important is there's a lot of people who are saying that there's stuff in this recording that simply doesn't exist. And that's where it becomes actually damaging rather than being important. Like the amount of people, we spoke about this before, the amount of people who turn around and say that they can see stuff happening in reflections, and it's bizarre. So is it important? It is and it isn't. I don't think there's anything on it what's going to solve this case. So if that's what you would deem as important, I don't think that's going to happen. Why didn't we see the bodies being removed? That seems exactly the thing news media would be all over. This case has the weirdest behaviour of the cops and the whole town, to be honest. It's funny. It's like that in the UK. So I can't answer that because you very, very seldom see anything like that happen in the UK. With the Nicola Bulley case, the only reason that people even saw that is because an amateur sort of YouTuber got in there and filmed it with their phone, and they were swiftly arrested. So you don't generally see it. I'm not saying that you don't in the US. It's just I don't know. So I think that isn't so much the question. My massive question regarding the bodies themselves is why were they cremated and disposed of so quickly when this was an ongoing case? You would have to be in a situation where you are absolutely adamant of what happened, and 100% that you don't need them and nothing's going to be pulled up. It's that to me is the bigger question. Not so much why didn't we see him leave the house, but why did the funerals happen so quietly and so quickly? It's always bugged me when people turn around and say they have these quietly behind closed doors with no one knowing when they are because they fear that that the killer's going to come. They're going to be there. Does that sound like a valid argument? Does it sound like, yeah, that's right. You don't have a funeral. Don't let anybody know. Don't let anyone come. Keep it all secret and hush hush, just in case the person who did it turns up. Surely you'd be better to liaise with police, law enforcement, FBI, and have a massive fucking funeral and have people hope that they come. Hope that they turn up, especially if they've got someone in their sights, because they could, in effect, law enforcement could have said, no, have a funeral. We think you should have one. And we've got our eyes on someone and we'll see whether they turn up. But yeah, that's the question to me. It's bizarre. It is bizarre. The Chabans had a second autopsy done. That is something that I've heard. How many lawsuits do you feel or believe that are going to happen out of defaming my community's character? How many lawsuits do you feel or believe that are going to happen out of defaming my community's character? Who knows? Who knows? Probably lots. Probably lots. Love your work, Harsh. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. We will, a couple more. Is there any questions that you want to ask about any other cases or anything off topic? Why did the coroner say they didn't need to do a toxicology report? I believe there was a toxicology report done. I did say that, I touched on this the other day. I believe there was one done. And it come back clear. Now, I haven't seen it, but I've seen the report. I'll see if I can find it. And if I can, I will cover it and I'll bring that up. Because as far as I'm aware, there was a toxicology report done and everything was clear. There was no sign of anything. But, so before we wrap up, is there anything anybody else wants to ask any questions on at all? I'm trying to get this off the screen. There we go. Let's bring that up. Bring the chat up. Bring that a bit wider, and let's see if we can get something. Question, will you be covering the Chad Daybell quad? Yes. I am going to. Yes. I want to start covering more court things. I've updated some of the equipment to make it easier for me to do. Changed the monitor. I've got an audio processor coming because I broke mine. I had one, I broke it because I do other work as well to do with editing and stuff, and I killed the audio thing. So I actually had to order a new one. That's why my voice is slightly out, because this is running through a USB at the moment, directly plugged into the MacBook. But I need to run it through an audio processor through XLR, and it'll tidy up the audio a bit. But yes, that was a long-winded way of saying yes. I will be covering a few court cases. Do want to cover more. Obviously, we'll hopefully have the Bryan Kohberger one, and we'll be covering that. But we will be doing more lives, definitely. I like doing lives. I want you, Harsh, to look more into the rideshare driver from the grub truck. Too many lies around his identity and vehicle from that night. Yeah, I know that a lot of people are a bit... there's huge questions from everyone. Do you know what I mean? The thing is people are when people are saying that people are cleared, it's very difficult to understand how people are cleared. Because unless, and I say this all the time, unless you turn around saying Bryan Kohberger was 100% guilty, he did it, he's the man, then how can you not consider any other possibility? If Bryan didn't do it, if he didn't do it, someone else did it. And if it's not him and it is someone else, who is it? You've got to start looking at the people around you. But here we come. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see what happens. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday evening. Where is this year gone? Christmas soon. I hope you've all got your decorations up. Decorations and your tree. And that's about it. The merch shop is up. Thank you very much. The merch shop is in there. Yeah, we do have some merch in there as well. I believe there's 15% off merch at the moment as well. Josh Cantu's backup channel is also in chat. If you missed my video today, please do head over and go and check out Josh Cantu. Obviously, it's sad what's happening with Josh. Obviously, for those of you who haven't heard, didn't see my video earlier, Josh Cantu was the videographer for Adventures with Purpose. He was one of the guys who left when Adventures with Purpose went bosh. And he set up on his own. You know, he set up, started doing YouTube. The guy's fantastic behind the camera. Very, very good. And he had an agreement that basically said that he could use videos that he did with respect of the work he did with Adventures with Purpose, as long as they were used by Adventures with Purpose first. So once they went up on the platform, they were used, and Adventures with Purpose had done what they wanted to do with them, he was able to do what he wanted to do with them. And that was obviously a verbal agreement. So anyway, some of the videos on his channel, the Josh Cantu channel, were videos from the Adventures with Purpose channel. And Adventures with Purpose, Mr. Lysak, has struck him, hit his channel with multiple strikes. Thank you very much, Coos Bill. I'm convinced Bryan is a patsy. Moscow and University of Idaho need to get things back to normal. They definitely needed to work that situation out quick. But yeah, so Josh Cantu, they sent loads of strikes, and basically it's got to the point now where, and bearing in mind, he's a nice guy, do you know what I mean? He's a nice guy. He's got a young daughter, he's got his missus, and they've got another child on the way. What Josh is doing doesn't hurt Adventures with Purpose. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't take anything from the pocket, doesn't do anything. And most importantly, what he's using is his work. Let's not forget that as well. He created that. And even though he created it for Adventures with Purpose, it's his. He did it. The downside is, and the way this system works, is that they can raise a copyright strike against him because the work appears on their channel, and therefore it's theirs. And it's likely that his channel is going to be removed. And where what he does doesn't affect Adventures with Purpose, what they do in return to him is going to hurt his family. And it's going to hurt his family right at Christmas with a young kiddie on the way, one that they already have, and no doubt commitments that will likely be assisted by his online presence. So it's sad. It's sad. And even though there is a legal obligation from Josh, no doubt, and this verbal agreement, if it was only a verbal agreement, hopefully there's something else somewhere, because that will be the only thing that saves Josh's channel. If he has got anything written, an email perhaps, or a video, anything that shows Jared Lysak stating that he's free to use his own footage, the footage that he produces, as long as Adventures with Purpose use it first and they're done with it. But there you go. Just one more time before we log off, put Josh Cantu's new channel link in the chat, and I will just say yes. If you know who Josh is, you know he's a good guy. Please do go and subscribe to his new channel, his secondary channel. Thank you very much, Duke's Wild Outdoors. There's not very much on there at the moment, but what is on there is very, very good. But he's obviously looking to, as if this gets shut down, I think there's 3 days to go before they switch it off. He's fighting. He's trying to fight. He's trying to fight it. I just don't think that he can. Don't think that he can. So yeah, just let me know. Just head over there. Let Josh know that we're thinking about him, and hopefully he's all right, and his family. Very, very sad. This is a bit of a cutthroat platform, if I'm honest, and it does sometimes drive you insane. Drives you insane, but there we go. Anyway, that's it. We'll wrap it up. Again, thank you so much for being over and sharing a bit of time with me. And I shall be back live. I think I'm going to be back live on Tuesday, but I'll let you know. I'll pin it up. I'm obviously going to do the video tomorrow and touch more on Shaun. We'll see how that's received and if more people want to hear about it. And if they do, if they really want us to go over the stuff from his mum, then I'll do a live on Tuesday and we'll go over that. But let me know. Let me know in the chat. And I shall catch you all tomorrow or later on today. No, tomorrow. It's 11:30. See you soon.